Hello, denizens of the grid, and welcome back to another round of Netrunner. Today, I bring you a game between Alex B and BSJO6A. Wow, that's going to be a mouthful. Which promises to be interesting, seeing as to how we're seeing two IDs I don't usually see. Wayland Consortium, BWBI, or Because We Built It, which gets a recurring credit only for advancing ICE purposes, and Andromeda, which, while definitely a popular identity and one that's seen a lot of play, hasn't seen as much play lately since criminals generally are either trying to do some kind of special gimmicky thing that requires a specific criminal ability, or are just not as good for quote-unquote winning games. But that is a general thing, not a specific thing, and hey, you never know. Let's see how these guys are playing it out. Andromeda, starting hand of 9 cards, so we can expect a strong start here in pretty much any capacity. Lots of events, lots of power. There's the Trigger Gamble to gain 4 credits. To net 4 credits, I should say. Dirty Laundry Run on R&D. We're going to see a card and a bunch of money gained. And yep, it's an Ash, which gets trashed immediately, because trash the Ash keeps servers crappy. That's the goal. Drop Sec Testing to make money for days, because it looks like this Wayland has an unguarded remote, and 3 servers to bone up on. And drop a Keymaster. It uses all 4 of the bonus cards, goes down to 5 cards in hand, and starts at 8 credits. Ladies and gentlemen, Andromeda is off to a reasonable start, but that is Andromeda's shtick. She always has a good start. Her identity is now fairly meaningless. She has 1 link, and that's all her identity is doing for her. Notice that despite having 2 open servers, this thing he just dropped, and his headquarters, it's not the R&D he's guarding, it's his headquarters, and he's double guarding it. The reason for that is fairly obvious. This is a criminal runner. Criminals have account siphon and faction. Do I need to draw you a map? If I do, I will. So, this is the pathway into HQ. Account Siphon will be able to get in. If it gets in, this guy loses all his money. This guy gets all his money. Game tempo completely changes. Andromeda is using sec testing, security testing to run against archives, gain a bunch of money, and ooh, Ash dropped just flat on R&D. I don't know what I don't know if I like this move actually, because with an Ash with no ice, generally the point of using Ash in this situation is to force the runner to run, trash the Ash, which he's about to do for 3 credits, and then rerun again, so it denies them a click. But it's better when you put it behind a couple pieces of ice so that they have to pay first to get past the ice, then they have to beat the Ash, then they have to rerun the ice, so it effectively multiplies the server by 2. Since this time around, the Ash really just baited 1 extra run and 3 credits, I don't know if I buy that, especially with security testing on the board. This Andromeda is about to get stinking rich anyway. I get the desire to immediately protect R&D, but there are better ways to do it. Ah, now we're cooking with gas. We got ice over R&D. Unknown. Could be something punishing like a sentry, so maybe the criminal slows down, stops face checking, and starts looking for breakers. And of course, always... Ooh, this is a fun combo. So notice, make a run. If completed successfully, you gain money. And the start of your turn, choose a server. When you make a run and successful, gain 2 credits. Those 2 cards synergize, so this guy just made, like, bank on 1 run. Got a barrier breaker on the board, got a code gate breaker on the board, and we are really flying. Now, based on the identity choice, we've got to assume that a lot of this ice is advanceable. My instinct says probably using the space ice, i.e. the ice that reduces cost to res by 3 for each advancement token. But honestly, there's no way to say, and oh my god, uses the Jackson and draws 4 cards, so clearly he was just trying to go for the discard. He probably has a bunch of agendas in his hand, or isn't seeing the ice he's hoping for early game, and just trying to give himself like a shuffle effect. For you Magic players out there, this would be equivalent to... No, I can't think of an equivalency. It's kind of like Wheel of Fortuning, honestly. Except that ended up being used in discard and mill decks, so yeah, fuck that shit. Bad example. With those 3 cards there, I'm fairly confident 1, 2, or even all 3 are agendas, and he was just overdrawing to get what he wants. He can pop Jackson to fix the agendas. Let's see. I would not res this here. But it's an Ice Wall, so I was wrong, and I would res that. Ice Wall at 2 advancements is not worth shit, because the barrier breakers doesn't care. But if he keeps advancing it, it will eventually be still not worth shit, because you've got to believe there's going to be a Parasite, Data Sucker, D-Res, some bullshit shenanigans to invalidate that ice. Oh, burn! Finally, all the R&D running pays off, and Oak Counter Innovation is stolen. 2 points go to the runner, and it is a 2-0 game. And honestly, in a game like this, tempo is... What the shit? What? Okay, Global Food Initiative, just for the record, for those of you who aren't aware, since this is not technically released yet, 5 advanced 3-pointer only worth 2 when stolen. That is super helpful for the runner. And what? He put 3 hidden cards back in. If he had agendas... Oh, never mind. It was a run on archives to force the shuffle. Okay, that's fine. And then, boom, we get to see here again. So, again, 3 agendas probably just went back into R&D, or at least 2 agendas went back into R&D, statistically. Well, that was a hell of a turn for the runner. Going to 5 points that early against Wayland, Andromeda can now afford to sit back, relax, make 20 credits, put down 4 breakers, and play a slow game if she wants to. She doesn't have to, but the pressure is so off of her right now. Actually, I'm wrong. This is 4 points. The pressure is still fairly off of her. Wayland could score 3 points and still not be on game point. That means Wayland could score a full 5 advanced 3-pointer or 2 separate 3 advanced 2-pointers, or a 3 advanced 2-pointer and a hostile, and still not threaten to win the game. And that gives Andromeda so much wiggle room to play comfortably in, which is exactly what I anticipate she's going to do. I mean, look at here. Just a couple of turns ago, she was like forcing ice rises, and now she's just running on the trash and making money the slow way, because what does she care? This card really needs to get checked. I don't know why she hasn't checked it yet. It was put down first card of the game. It's presumably an expensive to trash asset that wouldn't be worth trashing when you have 5 credits, but she has 12 plus income, and it's probably worth checking just to make sure it's not a sneak out agenda or some other shenanigans that you regret not having checked later. But no matter. Alex B is on the back foot here for sure also financially. 4 credits is pretty poor. And unless he finds a means of getting some long-term income up, it's going to be very hard for him indeed. Commercialization is often used in advanceable ice decks. Commercialization pays you 1 credit per advancement on an ice, as I'm sure you all know. And that would allow for a significant burst income should he get enough tokens going on one ice. Again, very vulnerable to I blow up your ice and you lose all the tokens. Oh, there we go. There's the remote check. My instinct was, oh, never mind. It's not a check. It's just security testing. But let's see what it is. Successful run, jack out, and then does he rerun it? Probably not, actually, because if it's something that he needs to trash, he still doesn't want to trash it in this situation. He wants to leave a naked server for more testing. He also wants to dig for Desperado. Okay, we're dealing with Octagon client failures here. That's fine. What to do? I guess in Wayland's shoes here, my goal would be to build back my money. Because once I have 20 credits, 15, 20 credits, I can start doing stuff. At 5, I can do very little. Clicking for credits is irritating. He probably wants to find hedge fund, burst his way up to 9, use that recurring credits on his identity to keep advancing some piece of ice or the other for value. We'll see what he does here. Double advance the trash ice, okay. It's strange that he's protecting the trash and then working on that trash protection further. Just because trash is generally not a very high priority server, and he's not currently at least protecting agendas or anything in there. I mean, I get icing it so that you don't just get free security testing money, but putting extra security on it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. We'll see what his plan is. At any rate, if that is what I think it is, which is the, I believe, wormhole or the nebula, he can res it for free right now, and it will trigger the subroutine on another ice to end the run, or it will trash a program, depending which one it is. You generally find a lot of value added by putting a ice that trashes programs over archives, because 9 out of 10 times you get more value by running ice on the running on archives usually implies you have a program to make it worth your while to do. So that multi-tested remote finally gets iced, and I think it's pretty clear the reason here is to stop the click for 2 credits every turn security testing runs. Bank job hits the board. Now, you cannot use bank job with security testing simultaneously. However, you don't really care, because if you click to put down bank job, click to run Desperado, and finish bank jobbing, it's 2 clicks for 8 credits, which is fantastic. If, on the other hand, you do the exact same combo, well, not to, yeah. If, on the other hand, you have to break ice, it starts chipping away at that value, but still, you're usually getting your money's worth. That ice wall is slowly becoming more of a nuisance. Honestly, this is why this ID is considered weak. This Wayland ID is considered weak, because it gives you that recurring credit to boost your ice with, but it doesn't give you a click back. And sacrificing a click for a runner is worth 2 credits. Sacrificing a click for a corporation, it should be worth a little bit more than 2 credits, seeing as how you only have 3 of them, but tends to be worth about 2 credits, unless you're doing something well and setting up good long-term investments in drip econ, etc., etc. So I would argue taxing that, spending your free credit and a click to advance an ice each turn is taxing yourself a click each turn. By way of comparison, imagine Hosbioroid, which each turn installs a card, not that hard to do, and by taxing himself a click for the privilege, gains, 1 credit, 2 credits? Gains a credit back. So, effectively, the value of clicking to install, which you were going to do anyway, becomes click to install, click for a credit. So you effectively gain a click each turn, or a click worth of value. Sorry for getting so distracted, that's just my spiel for the day. We're dropping an R&D interface. Plascrete went up while I wasn't paying attention, so this runner is currently safe against the current threat of Scorched, which with Wayland you always have to worry about, though frankly with this kind of monetary disparity it's less than likely. R&D interface makes the runs against R&D more valuable, so yeah, sure, you have to pay 3 credits to get in. Boohoo, Crimea River. I'll pay them 3 credits because once I get in, I see 2 cards, and then I only have to do it every other turn. And this Andromeda can make 3 credits every 2 turns pretty straightforwardly, at least judging by, unless she's running out of steam. How many cards left in her deck? So apparently, you guys can't see this, it's cut off at the bottom. She's got 22 cards left out of a 45-card deck. So she's seeing about half her cards. She's got a Barrier Breaker, a Code Gate Breaker, and a temporary Sentry Breaker. I say temporary because it blows itself up, but that's fine because once it's done being used, you're usually, usually pretty set. And the definitive Sentry Breaker will come out later. Denying the Corp that money and getting an efficient Sentry Break and without suffering the effects is very valuable. Blah, 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 drawing cards. There's the Desperado you wanted 30 cards ago. Now, if he starts sec testing the server, he can click and run it for 2 credits each turn. Instead of doing that, he's going to continue to force this corporation to spend money in res ice. It's definitely worth spending 1 credit to make him res both, because he can break anything. He's probably not going to break that because, well, he might break it if he wants to see 1 card in hand. Yeah, he's breaking it. I think that he's right to break it, to be honest. And break... Well, he should break both subroutines, honestly. Oh, there you go. This corporation is, in fact, probably a little agenda flooded after all this time with no secure server, and that's 6 points. If this had been playing with legal cards only, these would not have been legal. But since they're playing with cards that are not yet out, Global Food Initiative is gonna take the world by storm. You mark my words, and is already pretty huge in this game, seeing as how 8 points is actually just being counted as 6. So we will see, but yeah, at 6-0 with no clear sign of a corporate board state, 1 credits for the corporation, and a serious income engine, plus Katie for reserve for the runner, it's going to be damn hard for the corporation to come back in this game. More likely than not, the corporation is going to be sitting back and watching while the runner walks away with the game. This got rezzed at last. It's Constellation Protocol, which lets you shift your advancement tokens around. So that kind of confirms my suspicions that this is a Space Ice deck, where once the Space Ice get rezzed, their counters are worth nothing, so you might as well move them onto other ice, and maybe a commercialization to cash in. But really, it feels like a bag of tricks too little too late. I'm trying to contemplate the server that would keep this runner out. And the best ice you would naturally expect to see in Wayland, Archer, is useless against the one-time useless against the fairy, and you need something scored to fire it. Other big ice like Curtain Wall are going to be very hard to res, and a hard res of a Curtain Wall is 14 credits, and the runner will still be able to break it once for 8 to 10 credits, especially once that Katie Jones train starts running. I'm surprised that Andromeda hasn't figured out that she can run Constellation Protocol for 2 credits a click, and unless I am much mistaken, yep, Andromeda did click for a credit last turn. So once she realizes that, this server is going to start getting pressured again, and or this one, until eventually, you know, the financial problems aren't the biggest deal. But you never know. Maybe Alex B will hit a run of shitty cards, not see any agendas for 7 cards, and have 7 turns to prep. I doubt it. The other truth is the runs on HQ have been very limited in number, and we've seen about half the points in the deck, and we've seen about half the cards. 22 cards gone from the deck, and 8 points identified. So it's probably 1 in 5 odds of seeing an agenda. So probably one of these 5 cards is an agenda, would be my expectation in his hands. That's another way to do it. Instead of running the ice wall and getting the free 2 credits, you run the trash and force this res, and if Alex refuses to res it, then you're getting free cash, and if Alex does res it, you get information and you get pressure. Once BS builds up to about, I'm going to say 12 to 15 credits, we can anticipate him running the server for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 credits total, and getting a double access again. But he doesn't want to go low on credits. Very reasonable on his part, mind you. Okay, I gotta give credit to Constellation Protocol where it's due. Having that plus the recurring credit allows for some pretty significant buildups, and there's the commercialization that we knew was in the deck and eventually would see. Unfortunately, commercializing for 4 is not doing him giving him a ton of money. This is probably 2 pieces of fully prepped space ice. If we assume 2 strength 7 1 subroutine ices, then we're looking at worst, a 7 plus 7, 10, 12, maybe 12 to 13 credit run on this remote. This is going to keep building to threaten that run. But and it's a game point if he's wrong even once. But if he guesses correctly that the runner is not going to run, then he can put an agenda and score it. And if he guesses correctly the runner will run, he can put a bait like Jackson Howard or something and cause these 2 turns of build-up, 3-4 turns of financial build-up to go to 0. But I'm telling you, the security testing is proving very challenging for our friend here to deal with. This ice honestly should have been resed as long as it was resable. I'm very surprised to see that he hasn't in all this time. Here we go, the run is on HQ, and wait, what? Why jack out? That was okay, maybe it was an accident. Yeah, it was an accident. Yeah, because running on HQ here is just fantastic. 3 credits for a 1 in 5 chance at least to see an agenda. Very well worth it. And if you think about it the way I did before with the math, there's 12 points worth of agendas left to be found. There's about half the deck gone, and so that's a reasonable odds of seeing it. Never mind, he's doing something even meaner. He's doing Utopia Shard. On the whim, he can fire Utopia Shard to mill 2 cards out of the corporation's hand to disrupt the corporation's plan. Probably going to get done the moment a card goes into a remote server, just to make it even harder to protect. I don't know, we'll have to see. Or maybe before he runs the trash to access and see a new card. I'm surprised he trashed a fairy. I would totally have installed a double fairy just to have a backup so that I can break multiple sentries. But yeah, my instinct still is that Wayland has an agenda here. They're just waiting for something that looks more promising to score. There we go! Okay, so is it an agenda or isn't it? I'm guessing... Did he double advance it? If he double advanced it, I don't think he did. He double advanced the archived ice. But here's the thing, if it's an agenda like Atlas, he can... Oh, never mind, it's ice to ice only for Constellation Protocol. Okay, then in which case, unless it's like a 3 advanced 2-pointer, I agree with Andromeda here. Running it is a bad idea. You don't want to burn your ability to run that server by killing the fairy, all for a bait. And it's better to let him score a point than to lose the lock. Or you have the second fairy, and then I don't understand your logic. If you already have the second fairy, then you should just run the server, tested the bait, unless you're really sure you have them read correctly. Yep, it was a bait. Okay, excellent. See, I would have run it just for the sake of making him res all that stuff so that I could plan accordingly. Ash, and money go back in the deck. So it looks like our Hasbio, or not Hasbio, wow, I'm sorry, Wayland has, by luck or by coincidence, been given enough time to actually build to a winning state. what I would be doing in this situation, or sorry, not a winning state, but a solid board state. He's got a solid remote server, which is not impregnable by any stretch of imagination, but it is solid. It's not trivially locked down. But unfortunately, with 0 points, it's going to be very uphill. You have to be perfect here. You can't afford to have a single agenda sniped. And the first time you score, you're going to go poor, leaving you vulnerable to the snipage. I don't know, man. I just don't see this. I just don't see this working out for the corporation. But I will be the most excited guy you've ever seen if it manages. Anywho, from the runner side of things, cashing out the KD Jones, probably an okay idea. He needed some operational funds, maybe. Oh, why did you run it? It's so obviously Space Ice. Oh, wait, are you running the Archives? Oh, he's running the Archives. Okay, good. So he's actually breaking that, and how much does that cost him to do? Never mind, there was an agenda in the trash. I did not anticipate that. Yeah, looks like the corporation got greedy, Jackson back some non-agendas, and hoped that it would look like they had Jackson back agendas. Since that didn't happen, yeah. Let me go ahead and post my channel name really quickly so these guys have it. GG, thank you for letting me spectate and commentate. Good job on the run. You sure kept the pressure up, which is kind of what you have to do with Andromeda anyway. To be fair, it looks like your opponent didn't run much new stuff. Pretty much stopping at order and chaos. So, true. He had 3 of the Global Food Initiative. True. Maybe just not that great a deck. Regardless, well played. Will post to channel later. Okay, so that's done. Postmortem. Because the last several turns were a little bit slow, I had the chance to actually stop and think about what was going on here and discuss it a bit more than I normally would. My expectation is that you all have it figured out, but I wanted to highlight 2 things. Firstly, the power of Global Food Initiative in this deck. This is three advanced point agendas and 3 advanced, 3-point agendas and 1 2-point agenda. That's 11 out of 21 points required from the corporation's point of view, and yet it's all this just gets them up to 8 points because these are -1, -1, -1. If this hadn't been first Oaktown hadn't been stolen, these 3 3-pointers, literally half the agendas in your average deck, almost half the agendas in your average deck, would only be worth 6 points. It still wouldn't be enough to win. In combination with other bullshit shenanigans that we're going to see in Data and Destiny, we can expect to see some really difficult to win by scoring situations arise, and it may end up becoming worthwhile for the runners to have like alternative plans or ways to improve that. Further, the Oaktown the second thing I want to point out is the power of aggression. By constantly running on unres dice with the ability to break it, big if, you force the corp to choose between spending money and time resing their ice and going poor again, which is all you need to keep them depowered. It's the reason Blue Sun was so effective, because they could res the ice and get their money back. Wayland Consortium, because we built it, does not have that luxury. Anyway, I'm going to hop off for the time being. I hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you all for watching. Please spread the word to your friends, and I will see you guys next time.